So I'm finding out that over on TikTok, there's these things called infection AUs. Basically what would happen if said universe were to go through some type of like serious infection, whether it be like zombies or a virus or something crazy like this. This time, we have one that I've been meaning to actually get onto like for a really long time, and it takes place in the Bikini Bottom. Oh, and be sure to show some love to the original creator over on TikTok. I'm gonna post their channel down in the description and you can go ahead and check them out. This series is called the Sponge Virus AU. So let's talk about how it all begins. Technically, everything starts right here, when this fish right here, Fred, just turns right in front of SpongeBob and Squidward. And they're not even like pretending to be confused about what's going on. They're clearly alarmed by the situation. That's the first. Normally they play dumb for a little bit. What really led up to this though was Plankton's newest scheme. See, Plankton decided that he wanted to delve into some hell mythology, basically using like biological creatures, and it's a study of that kind of thing. Basically what he wanted to do was basically implement some kind of mind control into these worms and feed it into these patties. Then he was going to distribute the patties to Mr. Krabs for a cheaper price. It's Mr. Krabs who's going to buy him for cheaper. It's actually a pretty good plan, except he doesn't foresee what was going to happen. Essentially, if you eat one of these patties, you will get infected, and the results are not subtle at all. Mr. Krabs forgot to pack him some lunch for work, and he actually probably became the first person to get infected as he ate a patty, and the results came right after that. Plankton came over maybe to gloat or something like that. He shortly after gets eaten. Yeah, he's dead. Mr. Krabs ate him. He's gone. I'm not gonna lie, he kind of deserved it. It basically happens in 4 stages. Stage 1 of the infection. Unhinged jaw, your eye falls out. There's worms escaping the victim and your body begins to rot. Stage 2 of the infection. The unhinged jaw begins to grow. Your eye is fully dislocated now. Your leg and arm falls off. Your body continues to rot. Worms also continue to escape your body. Stage 3 of the infection. Both legs rot off. Your second arm also rots off. Your body continues to rot as more worms rive through your body. Your second eye also falls out. You're basically blind at this point. Basically by stage 4, you're pretty much going to die. Your heartbeat comes to a stop. The second eye is completely dislocated. Second arm rots off. Your body rots further. There are no more worms left in the victim either. They finally do all the writhing they need, and they exit the host. You're basically just a husk of what you used to be at that point. Yeah, I would hate to have to deal with that infection. That sounds actually horrid. So Squidward and SpongeBob are looking for Patrick, who obviously has been too sleepy to acknowledge what's happening outside. Luckily, he's still healthy and joins our team after bludgeoning one to death. We switch over to Karen to find out that Plankton actually made a cure in case any of this happened, except he didn't write it down. That is probably like the most idiotic thing you could possibly do. We swap back over to our protagonists and they're having to fight off a bunch of affected. But when Larry shows up, who's an infected stage 1, it looks like they're not going to be able to beat him at all. Like he has them backed into a corner. This could be the end of them right now, except here comes Sandy Cheeks to the rescue. She might be like the only person in the Bikini Bottom I would need in my corner for like a situation like this, honestly. She might even be immune, apparently. Meanwhile, Pearl is headed to the Krusty Krab to find her dad, obviously, and she finds him, except he's far too gone. She bumps into Gary and he basically escorts her over to the chum bucket. Back to our main cast, they have to go find Patrick something to eat because he's apparently starving, and when nobody's looking, he eats a patty like an idiot. I mean, what can you really expect from Patrick? It's Patrick, man. He quickly gets infected and bites Squidward, prompting Sandy to rip his arm off and stop the infection from spreading. Yeah, this has happened like way too fast. Patrick was now a stage 1 infected, and the gang are not taking it very well. 2 weeks have passed and the chum bucket has been converted to a full-on shelter. However, because chum is literally so disgusting, some people would rather eat the contaminated patties than stomach it. They're still rapidly searching for a cure, but to no avail. So far, nothing. Currently, Mrs. Puff is being held for testing as Karen hopes to be able to understand the virus and eventually procure a cure. That is weird to say. Mrs. Puff does eventually reach stage 4 though, unfortunately. She dies, and Karen takes this as an opportunity to study her lifeless corpse. Typical Karen move. She does discover the worms are mostly attacking the body, leaving the brain unharmed. which means they still possess a level of sentience. They just have no control over their body, which is just horrible. Sandy and Squidward also fix up his arm, making it possible to defend himself again. Finally, we come upon a progression point in the story. It turns out Gary had the cure to the virus, and of course,
it's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
it's chum. The parasites need to be fed chum. Yeah, I kind of figured it was something like that. 1 month passes and Patrick is already being cured of the virus. Not much progress has been made yet, but he definitely is improving, and here I thought it was irreversible. Meanwhile, SpongeBob's crew opts for a more violent route. Though SpongeBob is opposed to it, they're killing the infected left and right, just taking them off the map, bodying them. Let's just hope they don't accidentally kill someone too important. Oops. Patrick is doing well though. He's back to speaking and using his brain. The cure definitely works. 1.5 months after the outbreak, SpongeBob and crew are out at Goo Lagoon again fighting off the infected when Larry sneak attacks Sandy, smashing her bowl. Without that, she can't breathe, and she just tells Squidward to just kill her. And he does. Sandy is now dead. And I'm not gonna lie, that kinda hit heavy. Especially because now that we have a cure, the chum, it kinda makes it all feel useless. If they had just found the chum bucket, this could have been avoided. More time passes and Squidward's health is deteriorating. SpongeBob is fine, but something about him is definitely off. Meanwhile, at the chum bucket, everyone who has been given chum has begun to heal. While some behavior is still erratic, nothing violent has happened. They also try to go to the Flying Dutchman for help, but apparently there's nothing he can even do about it. So at this point, SpongeBob has basically all but lost all of his sanity. He has this really bizarre dream about the gang jellyfishing and turning back to see there are no remains left of them, but their hearts. At the chum bucket, they've run almost completely out of chum. The infected get chum and everyone else basically starves, and they're down to their last bucket. They basically only have one option left, and that's to make more chum, somehow. We later find out that secret recipe for chum is fish. It's made out of fish. Gary foresaw this happening, and this causes him to leave. Meanwhile, SpongeBob and Squidward are on their way to find Gary. SpongeBob is completely insane at this point, but he's protecting Squidward, at least, so that's good. Then, fortunately, he runs into Gary. They get reunited and they're happy, obviously, duh. Meanwhile, Patrick is being super gluttonous, and he bites the doctor out of rage when he tries to limit the helpings of chum that he's getting. Yeah, I can't see that going wrong at all, and of course he bites the doctor. Why wouldn't he? The gang finally gets reunited at the chum bucket, where they find Patrick. SpongeBob wants to take him along, Squidward, obviously skeptical, after he literally hissed at SpongeBob. At the chum bucket, people are disappearing rapidly, most likely being turned into chum. Patrick's bite to the doctor turned out to be infectious, of course, too, and he's also turned. Unfortunately for a hungry fish, they got a little bit too curious. He walks in to find out if Karen has any more chum, and discovers the secret ingredient is fish. Crow has to deal with him before he spoke about it. Another fish walks in and finds out about the fate of the curious fish before, and she runs out of the chum bucket, running into SpongeBob and his crew. She explains that Karen is using them for chum, that is the only thing keeping Patrick alive. Yeah, we get left on a cliffhanger here. So far, that's all we have, and unfortunately, the last time one of these things had been uploaded is back in like 2024. Yeah, I just thought it was really creative. I thought it was cool. I just like what they did with it, and I love their usage of characters, how they tried to do some world building and stuff like that, basically. I'm not gonna lie though, I feel like Sandy did not have to die. Realistically speaking, Sandy probably could have handled the whole epidemic on her own. She's literally a scientist. There was a point in time where she literally took SpongeBob to the moon, dude. You think she couldn't handle this virus? She could have soloed this virus. On top of being immune, and she's OP, she's the only one who could scrap. 100% could have soloed this. They did her wrong. There was also a point where they said King Neptune couldn't do something about this with his powers. Bro, if he's the equivalent of what Poseidon is supposed to be, there is no chance that he wouldn't be able to handle this. They just did that for plot. Yeah, so I did leave out some more minute details of the story, but if you guys want to go check it out, go ahead and look at the creator's TikTok. I think his name is ICC's or something. I'll put it down in the description. I'll throw it up on the channel so you guys can go check them out. That's where you got to go if you want to see all of it. But yeah, how did you guys want it to end? Are you okay with how the story has went? What ending do you think it should have? Leave it down in the comment section. Let me know. Also, if you have any other suggestions for any other like AUs like this, or ARGs, or analog core, or anything, leave it down in the comments and I'll check them out if they're good. All right. But for now, make sure your Krabby Patties aren't funky, because if you start this infection, I'm murdering you. I'm not gonna lie.
And I will help him do it.
Yeah, I bet you would, Crow.